What is going on, guys? Ultimate Deadpool here, finally back with another custom video. Some of you guys actually did like, actually no, a lot of you guys actually like this little mini series, seeing what I can, what comes new and whatever on the channel. So I mean, as you guys can see, I like customizing figures and stuff. If you didn't see my last video, I did review this stuff, except Raphael. We'll get him out of the frame right now. But this stuff right here was reviewed in my last video. So if you haven't checked that out, go ahead and watch that after this video. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so we're going to start off with young Kratos first. Now, full disclaimer, I have not played any of the God of War games. I do know about them. I have watched the cutscene videos and people, do, role play or playthroughs and whatever. I've seen that stuff. So I hopefully know enough about God of War to be able to have these two Kratoses in my, I guess you could say, personal collection. This one obviously based off the 2018 game. This one's based off the earlier three games. And he, in my personal opinion, looks fantastic. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are going to say, oh, the body's not big enough, or, oh, the Blades of Chaos aren't right, or, oh, this, and this. That's fine, okay? I get that. This is the best I could do with what I had to work with. And that goes for all of the characters that we're going to be talking about today. So, starting off, this is a WWE Superstar body. I believe it was Drew McIntyre. So if you guys, watch wrestling or whatever, Kratos is Drew McIntyre. So I thought the body was big enough for Kratos. Obviously, he's not built like a tank like the 2018's God of War game was. But for me, this works just fine. He's got single bend elbows, double bend knees, and articulated hands and feet. We'll get in all the and a swivel at the midsection, and his head is not really connected. We'll get to all that in just a second. But the reference photo that I use should hopefully be popping up right about now. And this is the best reference photo and the best clean reference photo I could find of young Kratos. And yes, I know it's from Fortnite, so don't go bother pointing that out. This was by far the best reference image I could find to get all of the detail work that I wanted to put into Kratos. So hopefully this works. I know there's going to be a lot of hardcore God of War fans that are not going to be thrilled that I used a Fortnite image instead of actual game imagery, but Kratos' design in those games, the whole saturation was dialed up and it made everything seem darker. So which was fine because that's how they were able to get away with so much blood and guts and stuff back then. But I couldn't find a nice high resolution light image of Kratos, so Fortnite was the best way I could find. So, but otherwise, his entire outfit look has been painstakingly mimicked from that reference photo as best as possible. Yes, before anybody says anything, I know he had arm armor on his right arm. I did not do that because it was too difficult to try to sculpt all that stuff, and I would rather have a clean Kratos with no armor than try to possibly do a sculpted piece like these up here and other pieces that I've tried to recreate armor, and it never works. I can never get sculpt stuff to work correctly, so I just played it safe and have a no armored Kratos. This, for me, counts as armored Kratos. So, everything else, though, has been painstakingly done to look as close to what my mind's interpretation of Kratos, or young Kratos, is from that reference photo that I pulled up just a few minutes ago. So, he's not perfect. I already know that. People in the comment section who are hardcore God of War fans are probably going to tell me that too. For one, he doesn't have boots. He has like Greek sandals with like shin or calf armor or whatever. I did not want to try to sand all the boots and stuff down and then try to sculpt in toes. Same thing. I went with as easy as possible. Kratos, he got upgraded to shoes, okay? But he does still have that chain present on his left leg, which is accurate to all 3 God of War games, or at least the original ones. These red bands were a bitch. Everything on here from his waist down to cover up the trunks for the WWE character is all done out of rubber bands. It was the simplest and easiest way I could come up with to make that look less like black underwear. And then he actually has some maroon fabric underneath these little rubber band pieces to help hide the exposed black plastic underneath all that. And then he's also got the same maroon style fabric that has been painted in the exact same way as the runes or whatever you want to call them on his loincloth, for lack of a better term. His belt is actually 3 pieces of rubber band. The center portion is 1 thick piece of rubber band, and then these 2 top ones are slightly thinner rubber bands, all super glued together to make it look like his belt, for a lack of a better term. And then every single one of these little red strands or whatever, they're not accurate at all. I've already checked references with this guy because he was standing there in close proximity so I could get all the main stuff done. But I'm pretty sure none of these are accurate. Don't quote me on that. They're there for the show. And then all of them have that black dot or a black dot on them to represent either a button or whatever Spartan thing this is supposed to represent. If you guys know what that's supposed to be, let me know down in the comments, and I will do my best to answer you as fast as possible. Now, I know I couldn't tell by reference whether or not his gloves and gauntlets were supposed to be red or if they were supposed to be brown. So I compromised, I met in the middle, and I did brown. I'm pretty sure, though, pretty sure they were supposed to be brown. I can't remember if they were brown or maroon. So just to play it safe, for now they are brown. I could always change that in the future if I so choose to. His head is actually a 3D printed piece, not by me. I got this off of eBay and whatnot. There's really nothing holding it together. It's literally just a hollow head on top of a double ball joint at his neck. But the whole neck is hollow enough, and there is enough friction on there that I can push the head down, and it is not going to come off unless I actually pull on his neck. And everything, in my opinion, does look proportionate to the rest of the figure, which is why I went ahead and did it like this. This is actually meant for more Marvel Legends style scaling, but you'll see here in a little bit when we get to the real Marvel Legends figure of this video. They're not really compatible unless you do some modifications to it. This fit on here perfectly because it was hollow, and it to me looks in scale with everything else, so I just left it alone. Like I said, I did not bother trying to sculpt anything over his shoes or boots or whatever you want to call them. I just left him alone. And yes, I know there are supposed to be wrappings and bands up at his thighs. Again, I did not want to try to paint all that. It was difficult enough trying to get the gauntlets and stuff to look just right, the stitching to get just right for his where the blade of Olympus was stabbed through him at the end of God of War 2, I believe, or the beginning of God of War 3, one of the two. Then he also has the battle scar over his eye, which is also painstakingly made to look like it is stitching. So hopefully if the camera will focus on it, you can see it right about there. It's not bad. It looks better in person than it does on camera. And yes, that scar is actually present on both sides. So it's not like I just did the stitching on the front. It's also on the back as well. Before anybody says anything, yes, I do know that the tattoo is not 100% accurate. But again, I worked with what I had to work with, and I just tried to copy the same official God of War tattoo that 2018 Kratos had versus young Kratos had. I tried to mimic all of that stuff as best as I possibly could. Hopefully, you guys will let me know down in the comments whether or not I did it right. Actually, I know I'm sure some of you guys will, but that's okay. That's why I make these videos, so that way anybody who is passionate about it can express themselves and say, hey, give me positive feedback, or hey, even give me negative feedback. I don't care. So anyway, these two are going to be my stand-ins for Kratos for a while. I am contemplating on getting another version of this version of Kratos so I can actually give him the the shield and everything else, because right now these chains are super glued in place. Same thing as young Kratos, just to complete the look. Unlike this guy, however, his Blades of Chaos are not connected to the chains. Versus these are very clearly attached to the chains. So if I were to take these out of his hands and have it unraveled, all of this except for this section up here would come undone, versus these are all glued in place and they're not connected to the Blades of Chaos. Reason for that in a future video. So hopefully these guys work, especially this one. At least this one I had a template to go off of, and that's why he ended up looking so good. This guy was done completely from scratch, and with one single good high resolution reference photo that wasn't even from the original God of War games from the early 2000s. So please bear with me if he doesn't come off as being perfect. I did try my best to get it to look as perfect as I possibly could. So hopefully I did Kratos justice both times around. So without further ado, let's go on to the next figure. Okay, so now we are at Invincible, and I love Invincible as the TV show. I did not read any of the comic books. I'm working on that. But when the show first started coming out, this is a little bit of backstory about me. I did not care for the show. I did not want to watch it. I had no interest in watching it. It just did not appeal to me because I had seen some of the comic books and stuff, and it just didn't appeal my interest. But a couple months ago, me and my brother both sat down and we watched all 3 seasons in a row. Not right in a row, but we took breaks in between. But general gist of it, we watched the whole show, and I absolutely love the show. And according to my brother, the show is very comic book accurate. In some cases, there are some things that they did change, but that's fine. So I knew from when I started watching the show and I really started to get into it up until just after the first season had ended. That's when I really started getting into the show. But the show as a whole, I thought is doing really well, and I cannot wait for season 4. But you can tell right now I took some creative liberties with Invincible's suit. I will explain all of that in this video, so have no fear. There is a reason that my version of Invincible does look like this. So hopefully, again, just like young Kratos, hopefully I did this character justice, because I know there are a ton of fans out there who love Mark and the Invincible show and his suit, especially the season 1 and 2 suit. I'm hoping I did this justice, so please, again, bear with me. I did with what I had to work with, and let's go ahead and get started. Starting off with, what the hell is this? Believe it or not, this is actually the Iron Spider Mark II suit. Or Mark III suit, I'm sorry. This is actually the Iron Spider Mark III suit. I popped the hands out, put in some Wolverine hands that I had from the extra Wolverine that I had. He's already had closed fists. I figured that was perfect for Invincible. And he already had a bunch of tech features, which I know is going to immediately piss people off. I did order a blank body for Marvel Legends body off of eBay. It was just the body and nothing else. No hands, no head, no nothing. It was just no bullshit. Just the Fodler body or whatever you want to call it. And it was off of Magneto. So I hoped it would compare really nicely to Omniman when we actually get to him here in a little bit. And the scaling worked fine, because I know Omniman is obviously taller than Invincible. But, obviously now he's this version of Invincible is much shorter. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, why the change? Why did you go from Magneto to using a Spider-Man suit? Very easily, the head. This is a full-scale Marvel Legends head. It is hollow. So, and I had to actually cut the ball joint off of the freaking Iron Spider Mark III head or neck, so that way it would sit in proportions. And now it looks like it was always meant for this body. But the neck on the Magneto body, it was way too big. It looked so stupid, so silly, so goofy. We actually took a Tom Holland head from one of my Spider-Man figures, popped it on the neck, and said he was Tom Swollen. Because that's how big the the Magneto body was, which is fine because Mark is built, but he wasn't that built, and he wasn't that tall either. We went ahead and scaled me and my brother, we both kind of worked on these things ourselves. He kind of gave me creative feedback and stuff on this because he is more of an Invincible fan than I am. I just like the show. He likes the comic books and the show. So we put our heads together and we're like, okay, how do we make the body smaller to make the head fit proportionates better, but also do it enough to where it looks believable? Standing next to Omniman, who, for lack of a better term, is using the same Kratos body. So, in my opinion, yeah, the scaling looks really good. At least in my opinion. But I'm like, you know what? I've got an Iron Spider Mark III, and we were just going back and forth, talking back and forth, what we could do and how we could make it work. We meaning me. And we came to the conclusion that I had this Iron Spider Mark III suit that had just been standing on a figure rack like this behind all these guys, just standing there collecting dust because I didn't use him for any videos. I liked the Iron Spider Mark III suit, don't get me wrong, because it kind of looks like Red Hood, but that was it. I just liked that look of the suit. I never actually used it for any videos, and so why don't we just go ahead and use something that I'm not gonna care if it gets ruined. I'm not gonna care if it gets destroyed, and that's exactly what we did. We popped that head off. We still have it. It actually is now sitting on my Velocity suit, so that those two are cross compatible, and they actually do look really good together. But that's another time. And what we did was we took a Dremel and we sanded down the spider logo on his chest, back, and butt, for lack of a better term. Sanded all that Spider-Man stuff off, got everything nice and smooth as best we could with a Dremel tool, and then we took the web shooters off of the gauntlets and the guns off the forearms, sanded all that stuff off, and we're like, you know what, the suit's already black. And Invincible suit is black with blue and yellow on the top of it. So how do we get because I don't want to do just a comic book style look. And there's a reason for that. So Toys does have or had a 1/6 scale Invincible that I plan on adding to my collection. So there's a quick spoiler for you guys in the future. But that suit was done up as if it was in a movie. And basically they added a bunch of panel lines, they added a bunch of textures and other stuff to the suit, so it gave it visual interest. It didn't make it look just like a boring spandex suit like this the Invincible suit looked like in the show and in the comic books. Yes, I know that is faithful, but to me, more detail is always better. And that's with anything. That's exactly what we went for, because this suit has panel lines and stuff all over it, but it's very subtle. It's minor stuff. Like right back here, it's all back here. Like, these panels here, the spinal column, the textures on the suit, on the shoulder pads, the thigh pads, the boots, all of that. It's just minute little textures. So we're like, okay, let's go ahead and use this suit with the textures, not sanding everything down, and also because the head popped right on after we cut the ball joint off, and it fit perfectly. So that was another key factor. Plus the collar. We'll get into that in here in a little bit. But I wanted to make it look like a much more visually interesting suit rather than just being a, oh, here's a Spider-Man, let's paint him yellow and black, black, yellow, and blue, and call it a day. Because the head actually was pre-painted beforehand. I ended up having to repaint all of it except the eyes because the face was the face and ears was way too dark, and the yellow did not match the color that we had picked out. We couldn't actually get a color match for it, and the black for his hair ended up having to be retouched up after the yellow and stuff was all redone. Anyway, so what we did is we just simply I repainted the suit. I painted the blue first, and then I did the yellow, and then obviously we did the knuckles and stuff on his fingerless gloves to match his face. And then once everything was said and done, we're like, okay, well, it looks good, but what more can I do? Because I wanted it to look good. I wanted it to look as good as possible. So my brother came up with the idea, well, why not make these panels blue? It's not comic book accurate or show accurate, but it still gives it visual interest or make it visually interesting without completely making it a drastic change. I actually do like this because instead of it being just a straight blue boot all the way up to here, it stops here, then you have black, then you have a little bit of just pinches of blue around his calves and thighs. I thought that worked. And then his boots, same thing. Instead of it being just a straight blue boot, we left the black sections that were there from the Iron Spider Mark III suit, painted it around the red sections blue, and then touched up the black wherever blue got into it, sprayed everything in a satin finish, and to seal everything up. And in my opinion, this actually does look really good. Granted, that's just my opinion, and I'm not trying to be biased or anything. I am my own toughest critic. You can ask any one of my family members. I was giving myself all kinds of hell when I was trying to do Kratos this morning, because he was actually finished this morning. At the time of shooting this video, he was finished today. But I'm being my own toughest critic. I know this is not my specialty. I can customize figures, but I may not. I know for a fact I am not the best at it. I'm sure there is somebody out there who could do a young Kratos a lot better than me, an Omniman and Invincible way better than me. And same thing with the stuff behind everything. I'm sure there's people out there who could do that stuff way better than me, using the same resources that I had at my disposal. But hopefully this works. Yes, Mark will show up in the connected universe at some point, along with Omniman, not the one that I'm going to show you guys here in a little bit, but a similar, exact same body and everything else. But I'll explain why I can't use that one for videos, and I can use Mark for videos because his suit was already molded in black. So the only thing that's going to get cut up on paint-wise on this suit is the clear coating for the protecting everything else that was hand painted. So since that's the only thing that's at risk of being chipped, I have no problem using this version of Invincible as my definitive Invincible for either the connected universe, death battles, or anything else in between. So, and he still maintains the full range of motion. He's got swivel up their thighs, up at the hips, up at his shoulders. They go all the way around, double bends all the way across. And he still maintains that full range of motion because those parts were not painted at all. And if they were just touch-ups from everything else. So let me know what you guys think of this. Do you guys like this look for Invincible? Do you want him to show up in any videos? Do you hate this thing? Let me know in the comments down below. And without further ado, let's go on to Omniman. Okay, please bear in mind the pose that he is currently in. There's a reason for that. I went to go shoot this. He was sitting in this pose because this is going to be his permanent display feature. He is never going to not look like this. And that is because the white paint that I used for the WWE body was crap, for lack of a better term. I did not think about primering this beforehand, and when I went to go spray paint it, it took about at least 7 or 8 coats of the white paint to make it look as bright as this. And that also caked up every single joint on this body. So he has no movement for his. The split right up here is actually fused, so it looks like this is all one piece. His hips don't swivel, unlike Kratos, and his legs, they do move, and that is exactly why he is standing in this pose, because the paint actually chipped on his leg up there. So, and then all this, the amount of paint that was used on this entire body is ridiculous. So because of that reason, this is going to be the permanent display look for Omniman. But whenever I make another one just like this, it'll be a lot smoother, it'll be hopefully as clean as young Kratos is, and hopefully as clean as Invincible is as well. So hopefully I can still use an Omniman for future videos, and he will have a wired cape. This one obviously is not wired at all, because he's going to be standing just like this forever, for lack of a better term. Now, let's go ahead and get in. So that is exactly why he is basically stuck in this pose, because you can see up here on the joints, especially that one right there. It's not coming across well on camera, but you can see right there. That's a lot of paint buildup from just simply moving the arm forward to actually get him in this pose. It was a nightmare, to say the least. I had to literally take tweezers and pull out chunks of crap, just because there was so much freaking white paint on this body. So hopefully before too long I'll be able to do this again, make it look better than this does, and hopefully that will solve all of my problems. I'm not holding up my breath though. And just like Kratos, I did not bother sanding down the boots of the wrestler that this was based off of. I mainly just got it for the height and the build. So just the body altogether. And he also came with these hands too, so you have to have the think pose. But you know, just like Mark and just like Kratos, this guy was painstakingly painted to look as accurate to Nolan as best as possible. Now, yes, I know it is not perfect. As I have stated, he can't move. This is basically now turned into a 1/6 scale or 1/10 scale statue. But it still works for me. It's still, you can clearly tell who this is supposed to be. So just like Kratos, the head is just hollow, and believe it or not, it did not come like that. There was actually a bunch of crap that was inside the head that I had to hollow out with a Dremel to actually make it work on this body. But once I pop everything on, it looks fine. It looks good enough to me. My mother did help me paint his eyes. So, because Kratos' eyes were actually, or young Kratos' eyes were actually done by me. And then my mom did the eyes on Omniman. He does have irises. He does have pupils. He has the works. So he's got everything he needs. And then the hair, the mustache, the face, the eyebrows, everything else was painted by me. The suit was painted by me. The only thing that my mother did were the eyes. And Ashley says I can't do that because she has way steadier hands than me. So, but the suit. After days of painting the suit, no joke, days of painting this suit white, to get the whole body white, because the pants underneath are white. This is all white. The traps all white. The gloves all white. I wanted to do that to give it the best chance of popping and taking as few red coats as I possibly could. Plus, it was 7 layers of freaking paint to get it to look as nice as this, I don't think it was worth it because he can't do anything. He just stands there. But that's fine. So hopefully next time I'll get a better brand of white spray paint, and I'll primer paint, and hopefully that'll solve the issue, because it was primered. It clearly doesn't look like it was, but I promise you it was. But I looked at several reference photos and got some very bad memes about all back here, trying to find every good angle of Omniman's suit as I could, to make it look as accurate as possible. And yes, that includes the white strand on his gloves on both sides, as well as the red sections, which are the same type of thing on his boots. So, that's pretty much it. Unlike Invincible, he has a straight spandex style suit. Versus Invincible, we went with something a little bit more detailed, but I figured, and this is how I'm going to kind of write it off, Nolan, realistically, in the show, especially now that he's more redeemed, would want Mark to be as safe as possible. So having his suit be more armored to me and my brother does make sense. And, you know, Nolan being old school and whatever, he wants to have a full spandex rubber suit or whatever. Boom, there you go. Bob's your uncle. That's, you know, leaves you just muscle detailing rather than having a full armor-plated suit. Was that the right call? Probably not. I'm sure everyone's going to let me know down in the comment section below. But like I said, this is as close to Omniman as I possibly could. Granted, yes, I know he does not pose and cannot pose because of all the freaking paint buildup and stuff. But hopefully when I do this again, I will use a much better coat of white paint that is probably not expired. I think that's actually why this did not work, is because the paint can that I used, I'm pretty sure, was expired. But anyway, visually, it looks fine. But then when you get up close and personal to it, you can be like, okay, there's a whole bunch of paint buildup here, here, at his knees, at the legs, all back here for his butt, and everything else. It's just, it looks better from afar. So, but anyway, that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and wrap this video up and call it a day. Okay, guys, thank you guys again so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this custom figure video. Let me know which of these three is your personal favorite, or any of the custom characters that I've had on screen today. Which one of those is your personal favorite? I'm still leaning to these three back here just for nostalgia base from my personal childhood. But I also can't deny that these three are good in their own ways as well, along with everybody else back here who has been customized over the years. So let me know what you guys think. Which one of these three is your favorite? And do you want any of these guys to show up at all in the Connected Universe, or any video for that matter? I left the door open to where hopefully Kratos is posable, so hopefully his joints don't flake too badly. Since his entire body had to be hand painted with dolphin gray paint to match the 2018 Kratos. Granted, yes, he poses a little bit easier because the joints are built differently, but that's also NECA versus WWE or Mattel. So, and then obviously once I fix Omniman or redo Omniman, hopefully he will be as posable as Mark. Or at least as posable as Kratos is. So, let me know what you guys think of these guys in the comments below, and I will catch you guys all next time on Ultimate Deadpool. Peace out. You guys are awesome. I'll catch you guys all later. Bye.